Lucky what I got. It's the PowKiddy v90. And I'm really excited about this one, guys. Let's take a look. Oh, hi everybody, TechDweeb here. So, a few weeks ago, I got the Super Console X, which was my first retro system that could play a ton of old consoles. I did a review of it on my channel, so check that out in the videos below. But since then, I've been playing it a ton. I love playing old retro games, playing my old favorites and discovering new games. And ever since then, I've had my eye on this little guy. This is the PowKiddy v90, and it's a very cheap portable game console that plays a ton of old retro systems. Yeah, it plays on Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, obviously, NES, Super NES, all the Sega systems, a bunch of other things. It even plays PS1 and Mame to an extent. But most important, I think it's going to be great for GBA games. And it's a tiny portable handheld. Okay, I can't wait anymore. Let's open up this PowKiddy v90 box and check it out. So right on the very top, we got the console there, and we'll see if there's any hidden treasures under the top area. There's our USB-C cord and manual there. Special notice, but just a word paper that we don't need. So on to the main event. There she is. Oh yeah. And we got a little sticker here. Oh, quick look at my Indeed. Right away, you'll see it looks just like a GBA SP. On the side, we got our volume wheel there. On the bottom, we got a USB-C charger, which is nice, and a headphone jack for listening to headphones with your Game Boy. And of course, we got a power switch and a micro SD card slot. And 2 sets of shoulder buttons. And coming back around to the front, the D-pad feels alright. They're not amazing, they're kind of mushy, but they'll get the job done. Checking out the SD card here, we got 16 gigabyte SD card that holds all your games, and you can add new games to that. And back here, we got the battery bay with a replaceable battery, which is kind of cool, I guess. You can see there's kind of a little bubble in the screen. There's actually a screen protector on here. Apparently you could take it off, but I'm not going to bother. Well, let's fire this up, and we're greeted with the splash screen. This runs the NX Hope operating system, although there is a custom firmware for this you could get. This works well enough out of the box. Sorry about the quality of the screen on the video there. I eventually figure it out. You'll see in a minute. So the systems we got Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Gear, Sega Master System, and Sega Mega Drive. PlayStation is on there, Neo Geo Portable, WonderSwan Portable, PC Engine, Arcade, Capcom Play System, Neo Geo, and Mame, which are all pretty much just arcade systems. So we're going to start off with some Game Boy Advance, because I think this is the perfect system for Game Boy Advance. There's quite a lot of games on here, not a crazy amount, not the whole library or anything, but you know, there's a few, and you can always add more on the SD card as well. We're going to start off with Mario Pinball, and right away, you know, just first impressions, the screen looks really good. There's some scaling that happens on the screen, you know, it's not the native resolution, but it really does look great. Very little screen tearing, although there is some. You'll notice it more in some games, but not a single game I tested really bothered me. So because the screen's great, the gameplay experience is really good, and the speakers sound great too. Here's how they sound like. So it looks great. The scaling, you know, it's not perfect. You got some configuration options you could choose from. You could play at the native resolution. You could set it to a scale, or you could do what I do and just put it full screen. It's not technically the exact ratio of the original Game Boy Advance, but I think the benefit of having it full screen outweighs that. And, you know, at least they give you the option. You could choose what looks good to your eyes. I tested out a whole bunch of Game Boy Advance games games, and I was really happy with the way all of them ran. Almost all of them. There was a couple that didn't run great, but for the most part, everything I want to play was running great. 99% of them. There was only one or two that was a little weird. The screen tearing is an issue that, it's really not much of an issue at all. The slowdown in some games is an issue. Even with frame skip on, some of them just don't work very well. Those are very, very rare, to be honest, and the experience on the rest of the stuff far outweighs those. And moving on, here's some Game Boy games. The list of Game Boy games is really long. There's tons on there. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the whole library. This is Burger Time, my favorite Game Boy game. I always play this one whenever I'm testing devices. And the scaling on this one, you could shrink it down and you get some authentic Game Boy bezels. I prefer to play it full screen, even though it is stretched a little bit. It still looks great, plays great. And another system that works great on this device is the Nintendo, the Famicom. I'm going to try one of my favorite old NES games, Darkwing Duck. This game was great. It was made by Capcom, and it really reminded me of Mega Man a little bit. The scaling on the NES is a little bit, small if you just do the native. And again, I like to just stretch it to fill the full screen. It's a little bit stretched, and I'm sure that some purists out there would, scoff at me playing like this, but I just like it full screen. I think it looks just fine. And oh my gosh, this game frustrated me so much I had to rage quit, just like the good old days. And now we'll go on to Super Nintendo, played Jurassic Park, my favorite SNES game. The scaling on this, you can see that you can stretch it to fill the full width of the screen. And the Super Nintendo games, they look great on this device. They play great. There's a couple of games that didn't run at full speed. F-Zero comes to mind, but most of the games ran just fine. And as I was playing this, I was kind of thinking how crazy it is that I have this thing. Little TechDweeb would have been so jealous of adult TechDweeb. To have this little foldable game console that fits in your pocket, it has like every single SNES game, all the NES and the Game Boy games, and a beautiful little color screen. It's just kind of amazing. I kind of had a moment where I was really thankful about the crazy future that we live in. Now we're going to go over to the Mega Drive, which we called the Sega Genesis. I'm from Canada. That's what we called it. And these games ran great too. The screen scaling on this system, it works really, really good. It plays basically full screen on this device, and there's very little artifacting or, jagged edges on the pixels. It's just really, really nice looking. I never had a Sega Genesis. My friend had one and I played it at her house, but I never had one of my own. There's a whole bunch of Sega games that I never got to play, so, I could have a great time going through these old games and finding all the Sega Genesis games that I never had a chance to try out. I'm sure there's lots of good ones. Let me know in the comments if you have any favorites. And now we come to the first big disappointment, the PlayStation games. I tried Resident Evil, and I couldn't get past the menu because it's all in Japanese, so I fired up this other one, Dino Crisis. It's all in Japanese too, but at least I got into the game. Once the game was running, the performance was actually just fine, but it's all in Japanese, and I don't think it'll run 3D games very well, so, I'm gonna do some more testing, but don't buy this device if you really want to play old PlayStation games, because it's probably gonna be pretty hit or miss. Now we'll go on to some arcade games, and looking through the list, there's actually a ton of games on here. I wanted to try a shoot 'em up, so I fired up Dodonpachi. I was surprised to see that it runs in vertical format, which is cool. This device, it's like a little book. You open it up and you play your games. It reminds me of Penny's computer book from Inspector Gadget. You know what I'm talking about? I really like shoot-'em-up games. They're probably one of my favorite genres of arcade games. And this played really good. I love that they did the vertical format for the screen. It's a little uncomfortable to hold, but I played it, and I enjoyed it. And you will too if you like shoot-'em-up games. I don't know if all the shoot-'em-up games are designed to be run in the vertical format like this, but I was super impressed to see that this one was, and I imagine that there's others probably the same. You want a really nice screen when you play shoot-'em-up games, and this one didn't disappoint. I had a great time playing this one. I tried a couple other kinds of arcade games, and they all worked great. You know, there's tons on here, and they all seem to be working, at least as far as I could tell. Here I play King of Monsters. This is a game I used to play at the arcade at the mall near my house when I was a kid. And then I tried the CPS Capcom Play system, which I'm pretty sure is another arcade system. This took forever to load for some reason. It was like 3 or 4 minutes. But once it got in, it ran really good. I was super impressed with the way that the graphics looked. The resolution was really high, so I guess this is a higher res arcade system. And the animations were smooth, and it was super responsive. This is King of Fighters, the latest King of Fighters, and I never played this game. I just fired it up to test, and I was having a great time playing this. It's a good game. You know, there's all these old arcade games that I never really played. That's why I love these, you know, retro game systems, because it gives me a chance to try them out and discover all these games that I missed when I was growing up. Then I tried the PC engine, which is the TurboGrafx 16 for us in Canada. The games are fine and stuff. This is a system that feels really strange to me. I didn't know anybody with this system, and every time I fire up a game, I'm always just kind of left confused about it. Yeah, this game's about Jackie Chan punching frogs. I don't know. Oh, also, there's a bunch of ports on here. You know, you can play Doom and Quake, Quake 2, a bunch of other ones. I was really surprised how well this ran. I actually played through an entire level of Quake. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I'm sorry for the camera tripod reflecting in the screen. I know it's annoying. I didn't realize it when I was filming. But I was having a really fun time, and I totally played this A-OK. I played this back on the keyboard when I was a kid. Not even a mouse and keyboard, just a keyboard. And this brought back lots of those memories. All the controls are mapped fine, and it plays fine. You can totally play Quake on here, which is pretty cool. I might actually do a playthrough of Quake on my little PowKiddy v90. So, here's my thoughts so far. The build quality is not amazing by any means. I acknowledge that. But still, I think this is a great device for the price. It's 40 bucks. Especially when you consider that this is really the only clamshell style device out there right now. I love the form factor. The old GBA SP was my favorite handheld for good reason. The clamshell design is a perfect mix of pocketability and having that nice big screen to look at while you're playing. The software on this is pretty good. Well, it could be better. Speaking of which, there is some custom firmware available, so I gotta check that out later. Maybe I'll do a video on it. The ROM compatibility, it's okay. There's a few games that I tested that didn't run at full speed, or really well at all. But considering the price on what this thing is good at, it's a really solid choice if you want to play some GBA games or old retro systems, and even some newer games, as I showed you. You know, at the end of the day, this is a GBA device. It looks like a GBA, and it plays GBA games perfectly. The GBA was, in my humble opinion, the pinnacle of the classic retro games period. The games had that classic 16-bit graphics, but the games were made in a more modern era with much more sophisticated game design decisions. Tons of games on the GBA feel like modern games, and I can't really say that about most of the games on the classic systems, and that's why I'm so happy with this thing. I have some other retro handhelds like the new BitBoy and the LDK handheld, and both of these are great for their own reasons, but this new PowKiddy v90 is, in my opinion, the best value for the money, and the best choice if you want a great GBA device that plays some older systems too. It has that classic GBA SP form factor, so the experience feels authentic, and the hardware is perfect for the games you'll be playing on this. Apart from being just a little bit cheap looking, it has a where it counts. The screen is great, the games play great, and the pocket-friendly clamshell design means you can treat this little guy just like a real GBA, but with the added benefit of not needing to carry around like 50 game cartridges like I used to. And it's only 40 bucks. So there you have it. The PowKiddy v90 gets 5 dweebs out of 7 with a bonus dweeb seal of approval and an official TechDweeb fun times guarantee. Please let me know in the comments below. What retro handhelds do you have? Which ones do you think are the best? What's your favorite retro game? I'd love to hear from you down there. And while you're down there, give me a thumbs up if you like the video, or a thumbs down if you didn't like it. Subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos. I'm TechDweeb. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.